All right, hello, Little Giants family. I am super excited today to have Kate Huck here from Christopher Newport University. She is here to tell you about all things applying, school life, and everything about CNU. So hopefully we'll be able to answer the majority of the questions that you might have. But with that, I'll go ahead and hand it on off to Kate.
Thanks, Whitney. So, hi everyone. My name is Kate Huck. I am one of the admission officers here at Christopher Newport University, actually the admission officer for your all's territory. So I'll be working with any of you moving forward. So very excited to continue working with students from here and just excited to answer your questions and be accessible throughout this college search process. So that's a little bit about me professionally, but I am also a graduate of Christopher Newport. So I graduated in 2018 with my degree in communication studies and a minor in history. My biggest involvement on campus was with varsity athletics. So I did play for the women's tennis team all 4 years that I was here. So took up most of my time, but with that, I was still able to study abroad. So I actually went to Spain in between the summer of my sophomore year going into my junior year. And then I was originally an out-of-state student. So that's a little bit about me and my student experience. I'm always happy to talk about that as well. But we'll go ahead and we'll just get right into the details. So we'll start off, I'll just tell you a little bit about us generally. And then we'll get into the application portion. Some of those terms might be familiar, some of them might look brand new, but I'll definitely go over each one of those for what they mean for us here at Christopher Newport. So first things first, we are a public liberal arts institution down in Newport News, Virginia. We're about 5,000 students, so more of a mid-sized university. Newport News, if you have been to Virginia Beach, you passed us on the way. So Virginia Beach is about 45 minutes from our campus. We are located in between Virginia Beach and Williamsburg, so about 30 minutes from Williamsburg. Tons of local beaches in the area. We're really lucky to have a lot of things to do just off campus as well as on campus. So local beaches, concert venues, restaurants, trails, the whole 9 yards. There's really everything that you could possibly want to do just located in our area. So it's a really great way to be able to be on campus, but also travel off campus and explore your local community. So that's a little bit about Newport News. As I mentioned, 5,000 students. So we're not looking to grow that size any. We feel that 5,000 is just the right size. So that's going to be large enough that you can have a pretty wide range of opportunities and diverse student populations and classes and all of those different opportunities that you'd see at a larger institution, but while still keeping it small enough that you get to know your faculty members and you have some interpersonal relationships all throughout your time in your major, your minor, and your other classes as well. So we definitely love that size. The campus itself is actually about 260 acres. So I always like to give a bullseye representation. So if you start at that first ring, as you can see in the picture on the slideshow there, that is our first ring, and that is the Great Lawn. That is where all of your academic buildings are. So all of your classes will be right there, right on the Great Lawn, as well as our administration buildings, our library, a dining hall, some hangout spaces for students. So everything that you really need is going to be right there in that first layer. The second ring on that outer side is going to be all of your residence halls. So just to give you an idea of when I was living on campus, my furthest walk from one side of campus to the other was about 10 minutes. So that gives you an idea of just the size of campus, very walkable, very bikeable, easy to get around for that. And then that last ring all the way around campus is going to be all of our athletic fields. So we've got our football stadium, tennis courts, soccer fields, all of that is going to be kind of on that outside ring as well. So that gives you a little visual of campus. With that being said, our freshmen can have cars, so you can have a car on campus all 4 years, but definitely not required. We are right across from a Harris Teeter, a Panera, some other restaurants. We've got some of our student housing that's right on top of some of those restaurants. So don't need a car, you can have it, but it's pretty easy to get around the community whenever you're there. So that helps maneuver that. So that tells you a little bit about the campus size and demographic, but I think now we should just dive right into questions about academic programs. So as I mentioned before, we are liberal arts and sciences institutions, which means that we've got a pretty wide range of different areas of study and interest. So 90 plus areas of study. If you go on our website, you can see a full list of those majors and minors, but I'll just kind of break it down here generally. So we've got 3 colleges, 1 professional school, the first one being our College of Arts and Humanities. So think maybe your history classes, music, theater, fine art, that's going to be housed under there. We also have our College of Social Sciences, where I spent most of my time as a communication studies major. So think communication studies, political science, those areas. We also have our College of Natural and Behavioral Sciences. So for those of you who may be interested in biology, biochemistry, computer science, computer engineering, psychology, those are all the areas where you will find those. And then our one professional school is our Luter School of Business, and that actually ranks in the top 100 for undergraduate business schools in the entire country. So we're really proud of that. It's definitely a popular track for students. That is home to the 4 majors of accounting, finance, marketing, and management. So that kind of encompasses a lot of our undergraduate degrees. We do have a few advising tracks that are super popular as well. So that's going to include our pre-med, pre-health track. So pre-med being your standard pre-med track, pre-health being areas like optometry, dentistry, veterinarian, PA, occupational therapy. Those are going to be some of those areas enclosed in our pre-health program. We also have pre-law, and then we also have a biotech and management advising track as well. So with those advising tracks, really that just breaks down to where you get to pick your major, you get to choose your area of study, you get an advisor who walks you through kind of the best course of action for you, and then they help you through any next steps. So any testing that you need to do. So think GRE, LSAT, MCAT, they help you through any application process, looking at schools, really just the whole 9 yards so you get the full experience through that advising track there. And then the last thing is that if you are kind of thinking ahead and know some areas you might be interested in, we do have a few master's programs as well. The reason I talk about them in the undergraduate experience is because they're all 4+1. So 4+1 meaning that you'll actually start taking graduate level classes as early as 2nd semester of your senior year. Stay for just 1 additional year to get your master's degree. So save some time, save some money, get that additional degree with us here at CNU. So that's going to include our Master of Arts in Teaching, definitely a popular program. Last year's group had a 100% job placement rate. They're working in the local schools. It's really fantastic to see them being so successful. We also have our Environmental Science Master's degree, Applied Physics and Computer Science. And then as of recently, we did include one for our business students. So if you're interested in accounting, it'll give you all the credits you need to sit for the CPA exam. Or if you're interested in some other areas, just gives you that extra set of classes to have that master's degree in that as well. So that gives you a general sense of some of our academic programs. So definitely a lot of areas. If you come in undecided, that's okay. That's definitely what I did. I came in totally undecided. You actually won't formally declare a major until 2nd semester of your sophomore year. So again, we have so many areas of study and you have plenty of time to figure out what it is that you're truly passionate about while also building a resume in other areas of study. So highly recommend taking advantage of all of that. So that's a little bit about our academics, but we'll go ahead and switch gears, just heading a little bit into more of our campus life, which is a little arguably more exciting, but we do have a few things that we love talking about. That first one being our athletic team. So I'm a little biased, as I mentioned before, I do play for the women's tennis team. So that experience really gave me a love for CNU athletics, but we do have NCAA Division III athletics, over 24 varsity teams that we sponsor, super successful programs. We also have club and varsity sports, which are great. So a lot of student engagement there. I was also on a co-ed intramural dodgeball team. So there's really an opportunity for everybody to get involved and get active in that athletic sphere of campus. Beyond that, we have over 200 plus student clubs and organizations. That is everything from Greek life to faith-based organization, club and intramural sports, hobbies, interest groups, pretty much anything you can think of, we have it. And if we don't, it's certainly something you can bring to campus. I was just talking to a student ambassador the other day, so one of our tour guides, and he actually was part of the founding group of our new CNU Surf Club. So really anything you can think of, it's something that you can bring to campus and really make your own. The last piece to that is going to be that we are a residential campus. So with that being said, we do have a 3-year residency requirement. So housing will be guaranteed all the way up through your junior year. We've just seen, and studies have shown, that students who are on campus are doing more things, they're more involved, and that's just the kind of campus environment that we'd really like our students to have. So we do have that residential campus requirement, but that being said, we do have some of the best residence halls in the country. So highly recommend doing a tour and checking those out. It is definitely something that we are proud of and our students enjoy. So we do have that residential campus piece that creates that community, but also gives you a pretty great living situation as well. So that tells you a little bit about the campus generally. We've covered academics and student life, so now I think it's probably the best course of action to jump right into the application process. As I mentioned before, each of these applies to how we review our applications here at Christopher Newport. So We are holistic review. What that means for you is that while we do take the highest consideration of GPA and test scores, we do like to get to know you a little bit beyond the numbers. So we'll look beyond those recommendation letters, typically 2 to 3 from your counselors, your teachers, coaches, employers, really anyone who can speak to what you've been doing throughout high school. We will read their recommendation letters. We'll also look at that essay piece. So be thinking about what you want to do for your essay, thinking about what's unique to you, your story, what's a way that we can hear from your voice and your writing and learn about you through that. So we definitely enjoy reading those essays. We'll look at involvements, things you've been doing both in and outside of the classroom. So anything from clubs to organizations to sports to theater to jobs, all of those different things that you fill your time with, we definitely want to know about those as well. And a great way to add to this holistic review process is we do also offer an interview. So if you're interested and you feel like that would be a good idea, we do highly recommend taking advantage of an interview. That just gives you an additional opportunity to come in, talk to an admission officer, talk to a university fellow who is a recent graduate of the university, and you can just tell us more about yourself. Maybe there's a year you want to talk about in more detail, or maybe there's just a class that you really want to talk about, or things that you've done in more detail, because the squares might just not be big enough for you to tell us all about yourself. So highly recommend that interview piece as well. It is only required if you're doing our one of two or both of our scholarship programs. So keeping in mind, that's just a way to add to that whole application review. But we will look a little bit at the numbers here. So you'll see on the screen, it says admitted student, middle 50% range. So that meaning that our middle 50% is a 3.5 to a 4.0. So keeping in mind, that's just the middle 50% of what our admitted students have. 25% are above that, 25% are below that as well. So keeping that in mind for your GPA, typically, if you want to think about it in this light, some of our more successful students and competitive applicants do have mostly A's and B's in their classes while taking a relatively rigorous college prep curriculum. So think maybe some AP, dual enrollment, IB, whatever your high school offers, then those are some of the classes that you could be thinking about. So then the second piece to that is we do have some of our test scores listed on the screen here. I will make a general disclaimer that you can see at the bottom. We are test optional. We've been test optional for the last 10 years. So this year, we are totally test optional. So you'll see the ACT and SAT numbers on the screen here. If you are submitting those, that gives you a general idea of what some of those averages for those test scores would be. But with that being said, you can submit those test scores. It gives you an extra piece of us to look at with your application. If not, we are also doing test optional again this year. So that gives you a general sense of some of that application process. The last little bit is that we do have 3 application plans. So what that means is that you pick one of these that you would like to apply for. So we've got early decision, early action, and regular decision. So early decision is going to be our binding contract. So if you apply through early decision, if you are admitted, you'll withdraw any other applications, and you are saying yes to CNU. That's my #1 choice. Early decision is great. I actually went early decision, but it's definitely not for everybody. So we do also offer early action. So early action is the non-binding way to apply early. So you can apply early action, and with that, you will still be applying early and have your early notification period, but it will not be a binding contract. And then the last thing is that we also have regular decision. So that's just going to be our standard decision pool. But for anyone who is really interested in Christopher Newport and knows that it's on their list, I do highly recommend early action. It does get more competitive once we get into that regular decision period. So the last little thing that I can talk about, even though it's not listed on the slide here, is that we do have a couple of scholarship programs. We have the President's Leadership Program and the Honors Program. Those are 2 opportunities from us here in the Office of Admission. They are 2 scholarships ranging anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000 per year, also come with priority housing and registration, and also a study abroad award. So money to study abroad if that is something you are thinking about. So the first one's co-curricular and academic. The second one is our honors program, which is just going to be your regular honors college. Some places call their honors college, we call it our honors program. It's a similar idea there. So both of those you will require an interview for and apply on your application. And I can always answer more questions about that as well. But other than that, Whitney, I think that's everything for my presentation. So it kind of gives you a general sense of just about everything we've got here. So at this time, if you have any questions, I would love to answer those.
All right, thank you so much, Kate. It was really extensive and appreciate all of that information. I do have some additional questions. I tried to keep notes of what you already answered, so If there are repeat questions in here, I apologize, but I'll do my best to just answer or ask new things for you. So first off, what percentage of your students graduate in 4 years?
Ooh, I do believe that our 4-year graduation rate at this time is a 77%. And then don't know what it is beyond that, but I do believe that the 4-year graduation rate is about 77%. So really successful. We're really proud of those students. We keep talking a lot about just what CNU brings, and it's great in 4 years, but the value of a CNU education goes much further than that. So our students are really captains for life. So everything that they do, we've been seeing some great job placement rates just outside of when students graduate. So in the 90s for students, 90% of students who after graduating have gotten a job or in graduate school with the last group. So really proud of those students, and definitely a captain for life. So if you decide that you want to change something or come back, and we do have our Center for Career Planning, which is available for all students. So it's something you can use all throughout your 4 years and then even come back and use. So you can talk to them about any career changes or any shift in things that you want to do, which is great. They're good for grad school applications and helping you find jobs and internships and resources. And once you graduate, you can use that resource for ever and ever. So it's a great way to continue to be successful, and it really adds for, again, that value of a CNU education.
Awesome, thank you. And do students apply just to CNU in general, or do they apply to a particular major?
So that's a great question, and kind of plays into what I mentioned where you don't have to decide. So you can on your application, which I should probably mention, we're both Common App and Coalition. So I don't know if that was your next question, but you can apply to CNU through Common Application or Coalition application. You'll just select CNU and fill out the information there. So to answer your question directly, no, you just apply to CNU in general. There will be a section when you're filling out for Christopher Newport that'll ask you area of interest. So you can list off some areas you might be interested in. So right now you might be thinking biology. You can list biology. If admitted, and attending the registrar's office actually makes your first semester freshman year schedule. So any area of interest that you put, they try to put you in at least one of those classes. And then from that point on, you get to pick your own classes, so you can really gear towards taking those classes in your area of interest. But don't have to apply to a major, you just apply to CNU in general. And then of course, formally declare that major second semester of your sophomore year. So a lot of time to decide. I was very thankful I could come in undecided. So I definitely took that time to figure out what it is that I was interested in.
Okay, awesome, thanks. And what would you say are some of your most popular majors, or do you have any like things that you think are super unique or special to CNU?
That's a great question. Being a liberal arts and sciences school is definitely something that we are proud of. So that really means that you get the breadth and depth of being a liberal arts and sciences school. So you could probably ask any student on campus and they would tell you that their major is the best. And so I really do think that that is one of the benefits of going to a liberal arts and sciences school like Christopher Newport. But I think some of our programs that people are more familiar with, definitely our Leader School of Business. As I mentioned before, we do rank in the top 100 for undergraduate business schools in the entire country. So I think that's definitely a program that is strong and recognized. We actually did a competition a few years back with Bloomberg, and our students went and competed against a bunch of different schools for our business school and actually placed first in that competition. So that was something we were super proud of with them. So definitely some recognition there. I would also say our Ferguson Center for the Arts, which is newly under construction. It's getting close to being finished, so I'm really excited about that. We get a virtual tour here soon, so really excited to see the new buildings and new classrooms, but definitely our musical theater, music, fine art, great programs. We're very fortunate to have the support of the Ferguson Center of the Arts, which really builds on to our students having great learning opportunities, but also brings in some amazing performances, so Broadway performances, musical guests like John Legend and Jason Mraz. Unfortunately, with everything going on this year, we didn't get to have some of those shows, but we do continue to bring in some amazing performances that are great for the community, great for our school, and then also great for the students who are really interested in those programs. So I definitely say those two are ones that people are very familiar with, but you can really find strength in a lot of those programs just being a liberal arts and sciences school.
Cool. And you mentioned, you kind of led into my next question about
Great.
theater arts students. Do you require an audition as part of that admission process for your theater or music majors?
Yes, there is an audition piece for those. So if you go on our website, you can look into those and see when those auditions happen. Unfortunately, I can't give you much more detail than that. If you have specific questions about how those are being conducted this year, that would be a question for the department specifically, because they handle, fortunately, they handle all of those auditions because they are much more qualified than me to be judging those. So you do an audition for the music and theater department as well. They're very competitive programs, so definitely a great way to get in and show your abilities and add that to any form of your application as well.
Perfect, thank you. And then is there help to support students finding internships? And do all majors have a chance to get internships while they're there?
Yes, so we actually have a great Center for Career Planning. So it's great to highlight that because they do so much work with getting our students in touch with internships, jobs, shadowing opportunities. So you can find an internship for any of those majors. Our Center for Career Planning will help you do that. And there's a couple of different ways that they're able to do that. The first one being just setting up a meeting with them. So you can start that as early as your freshman year. If you come in, I definitely use their services as a freshman. I came in and I told them, even though I had a core advisor, I just wanted a little extra help in finding my strengths. And so I sat down, I had a meeting. We went over some things that really showed me what might be a good fit for my major that played into my strengths. So I talked to them about that. Then later on, I was able to use their services just throughout my 4 years because they have those individual meetings where you can meet one-on-one. They also have a career and graduate school fair, career internship and graduate school fair, excuse me, that comes both in the fall semester and in the spring semester. So different companies, organizations, businesses, local schools, all different kinds, law school, graduate school, internships, jobs, they all come. A lot of alums come back to their alma mater and talk about what they've been doing and are looking for other CNU students to hire. So we've got that career and graduate school fair that happens both in the fall and the spring, where you can go out, get your resume out to as many places as possible, get to know some other corporations that you might be interested in. And then the last little bit is that they also have their website, newly revamped as Handshake is what they call it. And that is a CNU specific job website search where you are able to go through and look at available jobs and internships and apply on the website and introduce yourself. And it just has a ton of different listings. So lots of opportunities to figure out internships. But one thing that I will say that does go a little bit beyond just the Center for Career Planning is our faculty members. And that's one of the benefits of having smaller class sizes and having that opportunity to get to know your faculty members. A lot of students will be able to connect with internships through just meeting with their professors and going to their office hours. So I know plenty of students who've been able to do that just through their relationship with their professors as well. So yes, to answer your question in the longest way possible, there are a lot of different ways that you can find jobs and internships throughout all of the academic programs.
Okay. And remind me, I might have missed it when you were talking earlier, how large are your classes in general? I know you just mentioned the smaller class sizes.
Mm-hmm. So just to give you a general sense, we are 60% of our classes are 19 students or fewer. So that might be around the same size or even smaller than some of your high school classes. To give you, if you haven't been to campus yet, to give you a general sense of the size, our actual largest physical classroom size is about 100 seats, and that's rarely ever filled. So for example, my largest class size, which was in my first year, that was actually about 70 to 75 students in a first year biology lecture. So 60% 19 or fewer. Most of the classroom size are built to be smaller. Even some of your largest classes will be about 70, 75, cap at 100 students.
Okay, cool. And you mentioned the Career Center quite a few times. Sounds like a great resource for your students. When would you say that students typically start using that Career Center?
Like I said, this is the kind of part where students obviously take responsibility for some of this, but I started using it as early as my freshman year. They're a great resource to help you find your major. You can use it to find internships throughout all your 4 years. It's as early as you want it to be. Some people may want to go from more last minute senior year, I'm trying to find a job, but you're able to use those resources throughout your entire 4 years there. And I can't recommend it enough for anyone who may be undecided or just a little unsure about what they want their path to be. You can just have a lot of individual meetings. They'll go over strengths, your resume, things you're interested in, talk about potential jobs, potential internships that can help you figure out early what it is that you're interested in. So can't recommend that enough. It's something that it's a tool that's there for all of our students. We also have our Center for Academic Success that you can have all 4 years that'll help you with any academic help that you may need. So tutors, mentoring, we've got just group tutoring and individual tutors. And if you need help in maybe an upper level class, then they'll find somebody who got an A in that class and is able to help teach you. And if we don't have anybody on hand, we will even go out into the local community and find somebody to help you in any of those classes that you may be taking. So lots of resources, take advantage of them across any campus that you go to. They are, there for a reason, and we're especially proud of ours.
Wonderful, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And do you all have a study abroad program?
Yes. So without stealing too much of their thunder, because they always do a wonderful job of answering questions and talking about their programs, we have a great study abroad program. Close to about 30% of our campus does engage in a study abroad trip throughout their time at Christopher Newport. There are essentially 3 different ways that you can study abroad. So the first one and the most popular option being a CNU study abroad program. So basically take CNU and take it abroad. It'll be with other classmates from CNU faculty members. They'll tell you exactly what that program is going to be. So exactly which classes, where you'll be going. It could be a summer, it could be a full semester, both spring and fall semester. You can do full semester programs. So those are great opportunities. There's also just outside programs that you can do. So if you feel like you need a little bit more options for where you want to go, or if there's a specific program that you found, they will help you and go through everything that you need to know for using that system and that program. Make sure that you're not going abroad with anybody shady, make sure everything checks out, and that any credits that you're taking will transfer over to your major, your minor, whatever you may need. And then the last thing is that we do have a couple of exchange programs. So with that being said, they're a little different this year. So we do usually have a couple of exchange programs. So one through the University of Glasgow and then one through Oxford as well. So lots of different ways to study abroad. Highly recommend it. I know a lot of students that across different majors have done very different and very cool study abroad trips as well.
Okay, and how easy would you say it is to study abroad and still graduate in 4 years?
Oh yeah, it's something that should help, honestly. A lot of students choose to do summer programs. That's definitely popular with the CNU programs. But as long as you're working with the study abroad office and making sure that your classes and your credits align with your major, yeah, it should just be something that works along with your regular schedule. Should just be able to help you accomplish those credits, just maybe in a different way. So it's definitely something that the study abroad office is very on top of, making sure that your credits and your classes apply to what you need them to. So
awesome. And then you mentioned a little bit about professors and working with students outside of the class. In general, how accessible would you say your professors are for their students?
Yeah, that's a great question. And one that is definitely, you could probably ask any CNU student and they would have a different experience with a different professor. But for the most part, we are an undergraduate focused institution. So what that means for you all would be that all of our resources, undergraduate internships, and research opportunities and office hours, all of those are reserved for you at the undergraduate level. So of our 5,000 students, only 200 are at the graduate level. So really all of our resources are meant to help you throughout your 4 years or throughout your time at Christopher Newport. So they're super accessible on all of their syllabus. They have actually mandatory office hours. So at least 2 to 3 times a week, they've got different hours where you can go in, meet with them. If it's not a great time during the week, they have appointments that they can make with students, and they're very accessible and they encourage it. Every class I was in, they encouraged coming to their office hours, and you could come in just to say hey and chat. You could go in. I've had papers reviewed. I've had questions answered. I've had some one-on-one instruction opportunities. So really whatever you need them for, that's what those office hours are for. And that's part of the reason why they've chosen to teach at Christopher Newport, is because they know that the classes are smaller and they're able to get to know their students in that way. So having those office hours is a great opportunity, but they're also going to know you in your classes. So that means when you don't show up, they're going to know, they're going to notice with those smaller class sizes. But that's definitely something that our students are looking for, because it gives them a great resource for, again, as I've mentioned kind of throughout, internships, undergraduate research. All of those things are a great resource just when you get to know your professors and know them a little bit more personally.
Thank you. Those are all the main questions that I had for you. I do believe you are the admission officer for our students here, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so if any of our Waynesboro students have any additional CNU specific questions, what would be the best way for them to get in contact with you?
Yeah, so there are great many resources that you can do. If you go on our website, there are actually a ton of different ways you can communicate with us. For me, you can always send me an email. If you just go on our website under Meet Your Admission Officer, there'll be a picture of me and it'll have my phone number, my email address, and you can just send me an email or make a phone call. If you have any general questions or things that you want to talk about, we also just have our general admit box. So if you do admit@cnu.edu, that is just an email question line, and you can answer, get any of your questions answered there as well. But if you have specific questions for me, especially through your college search or your application process, then yes, I would be the one that you can email directly. And that's just my first and last name, kate.huck@cnu.edu.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kate, for spending a little bit of time with us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. And I hope that you get some good applications from us this year.
I'm excited. Well, if I haven't said enough, definitely come and visit us. We'd love to have you all for either an interview or an in-person tour. So definitely recommend come out and seeing us. But thanks so much for having me this afternoon. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.